but today we are playing Astrologian's Planisphere in the blue Urza shell. We dipped our toes briefly with this card in a VV deck. I didn't like it very much in the VV deck. It felt like it was a little bit load bearing, if that makes sense. Like I was trying, all right, we're gonna get a Planisphere in play. We're gonna get a lot of counters. We're gonna Cauldron Ballista. I think that's asking a little much of this kind of card. Astrologian's Planisphere. It's a 2-mana equipment. It enters with a 1/1 equipped to it. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a counter on it, and whenever you draw your third card, you put another counter on it. And you can equip it to something else for 2 mana. So I think this slots really well into this blue Affinity shell that we've played a good amount of. Not only do you get to get that third extra card from cards like Thoughtcast, Lrien Revealed, but this is a deck that I think was very interested in another cheap artifact, because sometimes having Opal online early enough could have been a little, or has been sometimes an issue. And also a cheap artifact that can, or improvises to Metallic Rebuke is really nice. It just sits in play, and you can always improvise it to Metallic Rebuke with no problem. All of these things are something that this archetype has kind of been wanting. Now, of course, Corey Steelcutter, very, very good. The mana to splash red while also playing Counterspell is kind of a non-starter, or maybe not a non-starter, but it's difficult. You can't play these Darksteel Citadels, which are, I think, kind of important. The red splash is tricky, and you also you lose all these sinks and all these good blue utility lands. And you may have missed this arc, but Counterspell is really, really, really nice in this archetype. Not only does it allow you to not get super duper blown out by some cards like Clarion Conqueror and Force of Vigor and all of the mass artifact hate cards, Card of the Great Creator, Wrath of Skies, just gives you such a clean answer to these things. This build is kind of inherently slow. You have a lot of fast mana, you have a lot of card draw, but you're not actually killing your opponent super quick. Planisphere helps a little bit, but you're not killing your opponent super quick. So the counterspells complement the fast mana and the card draw really well. This is also an archetype that got buffed with the Saga Moon rule changes, where we get to now really comfortably sideboard a bunch of Harbingers. We also have Kappa Cannoneers in the board now. You want to bring these in against a lot of the slower decks. I think that you could want to main deck them with the Planisphere, but I think game one, you just want that curve to be really, really low. And a lot of times what you want to do is you want to board out some of these counter magic for the Kappa Cannoneers. Opponent. All right, usually it's form. If opponent takes 30 seconds to show up, I like to just pop up the party one, at least for the mulligans. At least for the mulligans. All right, they chose to play first. Aren't Houston, Dallas kind of the same? You can't say that to Houston and Dallas people. I'm going to keep my 7 here. See how much of the 30 bucks think you'll come back. I ran into a guy from Houston and New Orleans a couple weeks ago. And I was like, we're mortal enemies. And then one of us asked the other one for a favor. I can actually remember who did what. All right, here's our 7-card keep. We're on the draw against a Flooded Strand here. There's a turn 1 Emry. So I think we're going to be cycling the Lrien Revealed. Maybe it's better to play the Aether Spellbomb just for the upside of drawing. If we play this and we draw an untapped blue source, I can go play just one of the 1-drops and hold up Rebuke, or play both 1-drops. But I could play both 1-drops anyways because of the Amber next turn. Oh, sorry, I thought I clicked this back up. Here's our 7-card can. It was this minus Emry. Sorry about that. Is there a quadrille of hate between Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston? For the most part, the rivalry is, I think, Dallas and Houston. The two cities are pretty similar, like population size. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's mostly just these two cities that have the rivalry. I don't really have an actual disdain for any of them. I actually really, really like Austin and San Antonio. Okay, so my opponent has graveyarded a counterspell. I think I am gonna not run into counter magic here. Have I taken a look at updating the Temur Battlecry deck with any Final Fantasy cards? Really cool build. I do think that deck is really cool. I think that it became really quickly very poorly positioned against the Boros and the oh my gosh, sorry. No, I don't have Rebuke up. I think it became really poorly positioned really quickly. So that's an issue. I think against like Boros and Prowess, it's just like such a miserable matchup. I also don't think that there's really anything from Final Fantasy that goes in the archetype, but if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Okay, there's a Planisphere. I keep putting an O there in my brain, and there's no O. Okay, so let's start off with a Mox Amber so we can have that Metalcraft online. Then I'm going to play Tamiyo. And then I guess we maybe should have played this first, but we'll play the Lantern so that we can have the full 4 types for Metalcraft. If my opponent like Fatal pushes Tamiyo in response, I don't think we fight over that. I think we just float a mana. But yeah, let's go ahead and cast Thoughtcast. If our opponent counters this, we'll Rebuke back so we can flip the Tamiyo, maybe draw a land, and maybe use that land to cast Emry. So hopefully they don't also have a Force of Negation, but that wouldn't be the end of the world, of course. I suppose if they're pausing, they have one. Fire Magic over Pyroclasm. Yeah, I would agree with that, but I also wouldn't think that probably moves the needle very much. Okay, so they have a Thoughtseize, which I guess is bad to have bobbled into, but I want a main phase to like reduce the time that they have to draw a Bowmaster. So he has Nile, Spellbomb, Thoughtseize, 3 mystery cards. There's a Thoughtseize. What's making Aether Spellbomb so popular? A combination of Domainzu and Dimir, I think, means you want the Aether Spellbomb. It's also just like a fine card of the shell, protects your Urzas, taps. It's a cheap artifact, taps to Urza without like while leaving the activation up. I know we retire a bit of these shells starting with 4, Tamiyo, Emry, Amber, Bauble, but I love these decks. Yeah, these decks are fun. I try not to do too many of them, but there's just a lot of brew potential, and like there's a lot of new tools for these kind of decks that get released like all the time. So I agree, it can be a little bit tiresome, but I think it's important to work on them. So let's play the Emry. I don't want to minus the Tamiyo. I don't want to minus the Tamiyo and make that force the Spellbomb. I think I'd rather plus the Tamiyo or maybe make them use it later. Okay, I don't know why they're responding to this, because now I can minus on the Thoughtcast and cast it this turn. This is for Revolt on Fatal Push. Yeah, let's just let that happen, I think. I don't think I care that much about the Emry. This also means they're not drawing a card off the Spellbomb, so that's a win. So we draw 2. We draw another Thoughtcast. We draw an Urza Saga. It's also really nice here to have the Aether Spellbomb in play, so it's like we don't really need to worry so much about holding up the counter magic. So they mill 2 Psychic Frogs with this Thought Scour. If they have Unearths Rotting in their hand, they can deploy them now. Esper Origin seems oddly good for Team of Battlecryer. Digs for pieces, transforms into 4-power creature, gives potential card advantage, extra mana. Does it? It doesn't get cost reduced from the graveyard though, right? It always costs 4 from the graveyard. I've been looking at Esper Origins. I've been looking at the 1 mana white creature. His name's like Zach or something. I've been looking at that one. I'm gonna bring in the Needle this time. Been thinking Needle against the Frog matchups is just something you usually want. I know it's not something I've always done, but I've been kind of more into the idea lately. Yeah, Zach Fair. Yeah, I've been looking at that card some more lately. I think I want to do 2 Counterspell, 2 Rebuke. Could go down like an Urza. I think I don't want to. So yeah, I've been looking at Zach. I want to play Zach with Broodscale, right? So like, I like that Zach puts a counter on the Broodscale. I like that Zach can instant speed equip the Blade. I like that Zach is a protection spell for Broodscale. This hand is so close. It would be obviously insane if one of the Opals was an Amber. Do I have it in my heart to mulligan? I might need to. I think this hand just does nothing too often, despite being close to being broken. Now we're going to 5. So our 5-card hand probably wants to put back 1 Planisphere and then either an Emry or a land. Let's put back the land on the draw. Why Kappa Cannoneer not main? With all the counter magic, you can run into some mana curve problems with this build. So I think game 1 you want that mana curve to be as low as possible. And also the Planisphere gives you like the extra threats, so you need the Cannoneers less. Kind of stoked on this Phoenix Cecil Shadow build. Phoenix Cecil Shadow. So this is red Phoenix, or I guess all Phoenix is red. Detectives Phoenix. Yeah, so people have been talking about this, like the overlap of Street Wraith, Cecil, and Phoenix being pretty interesting. Also, just playing the Saga tech, which I guess makes sense. You can get the Overlords in there. Huh. Yeah, looks pretty cool. All right, Thoughtseize Bug. My opponent has said in the chat 84. What does that mean? We had one more Planisphere brew, but it was like too load bearing. If that makes sense. We're playing it in a VV Cauldron list, and I think we're asking way too much of it there. And like just that was a build where Steel Cutter I think was kind of clearly the better one. Well, I mean, if they don't have a snare or dispute, we get to go Planisphere, Bauble, Emry this turn. They do have the snare, sadly. I'm going to play the Opal out so that we don't get Thoughtseized off of Metalcraft for the Saga. VV Cauldron Planisphere extra trophy to dares. Here we go. If you want to, I would love if you would pull that list. I didn't see it. We played a few matches. They did not go very well. Maybe my build was bad. Did some Googling. I'm seeing results that say Battlecryer would reduce the flashback cost on Esper Origins. Let me reread Esper Origins one more time. But I actually do think that that's really interesting. If that is indeed how it works. Judge from confirmed. That's okay. I think that's a really big deal, especially because it comes back as a 4-power creature. Okay, so it is flashback. For some reason, I thought it was a different keyword. Okay, so they fatal push me, and then this costs 3. I have 2. Well, maybe going to be a tough mull to 5. Let's cast the Emry. If they didn't have that snare, baby, we were cooking. Any chance Joshua might be playable and a Jeskai Wizard's deck? Joshua's like the bad seasoned Pyromancer, right? I don't exactly understand the infatuation with that card. I think it is like kind of, in my mind, almost clearly worse than other 3-drops. Like the like 5 mana activation thing is just so fake. It's just not something that I think you could realistically like play to or whatever. Okay, so I really wanted to get Aether Spellbomb. Now I think I'm kind of priced into just going Amber Urza, especially because like I might not have the mana to Urza in the future. Imagine getting Stern Scolding here. Don't scold me. Okay, well, those are kind of funny draws. I think I'm gonna play the Planisphere. I believe you cannot play lands with Emry. Yeah, Emry says cast. It is definitely worded weirdly, but it does say cast. So not a bad mull to 5. King of Redion? I think for 12 months, Lucky King. So let me oh, my phone's over there, but I'll make a mental note, I suppose. Teamer Battlecryer with Esper Origins. I do think Battlecryer is just the de facto. Maybe Winter Night Stories gets in there too, so you can have like discard the Origins for value. But I think that's the de facto like Fanatic of Ronish shell. So they discarded Oculus. I would assume that they have an Unearth if they're just gonna second main phase discard this. Then they play a Marsh Flats. Then they play Explosives on 0, which is annoyingly good. Do they also have Unearth? That's a good turn. So I'm glad we brought in the Needle. Not too often you mold a 5 and something like that happens and you live to tell the tale. We'll see what we can do. Okay, so I would like to equip the Shadowspear and attack this turn. So it's a little weird to do that instead of sacking the Bauble when I am so starved for resources. Maybe this lets me like spin the Urza next turn, but 5/8 attacks into their 7 power blocking blockers pretty well, and I think this is just this is kind of our plan here. Do you get ads if you're subscribed? Now you should not, Rebellion. I don't know why you'd be seeing an ad. Michigan Blue with a Twitch Prime. Thank you. Welcome back. This was in League Dumps. Copy to Mox Opal. Thank you, Big J. And thank you to Moxfield. So we weren't playing Faithless Looting. I don't... this is against my Faithless Looting philosophy, I suppose. But looting does trigger Planisphere pretty well. Like right off the bat, I'm like, could we play Steel Cutter instead of looting? But, maybe this is good. 2 Ballistas. I think I was playing 3, then cut down to 2. Okay, they have this card in the sideboard I've never seen. Thoughts of Ruin, 4 mana. Each player sacrifices a land for each card in your hand. How have I never seen this card? Kamigawa's why? Yeah, sometimes, especially like in that dead time between set releases, I'll like go through sets that I wasn't playing Magic when they were released, and I'll just kind of dig for hidden gems. That is a hidden gem I've never found. So let's take a look at how I had built it. So yeah, I was playing 3. I was playing, how many Flame of Venors do they have? They have 4 Flame of Venors. So I was playing basically iteration over looting. But like maybe looting is just like fine to play in this kind of shell. Like looting away the extra Moxen can be really good. This is something that we did in like that Narset build, and I really liked it. We have the exact same lands. They have 1 copy of Galvanic Blast. Where did they? Oh, so basically they cut the 3rd Blister for the Galvanic Blast, and they're playing looting over iteration, and then they have this sick attack in the sideboard. So pretty interesting. All right, back to reality. Let's play Opal from the yard, which is going to grow the Urza. And then I'm going to tap 1, 2... spin the Urza. Oh, maybe I should have attacked first. Although I don't really know how this dies in combat. I don't exactly want to find out, you know what I mean? Alright, let's attack. Thingamabobby with the 25 months. Hope you're doing well. Alright, so they're taking 4 damage down to 5. We'll move the Shadowspear over here. And then they do Fatal Push the Urza. Got a big construct. Isn't getting the Opal and sacking the Bauble. Instead of getting Opal and sacking the Bauble and getting it back with Emry wasn't better. I don't know. We used all of our mana, so it just seemed like this was better. So I can make this 9 power, and they're going to have 9 toughness potentially, like best case scenario for me. They keep a card on top, so it's probably a Fatal Push. Yeah. So okay, well, a hard-fought match. I don't know if this game is winnable anymore. Let's do some of that old-fashioned trying that the kids are always talking about. Planisphere looking pretty good. So have game 3 also. Remember, we mulled to 5 this game. So there's still to consider. We'll see if they want to... Okay, they do draw it. Urza is a pretty interesting card to see here. I don't think they have lethal. Okay, I'm at 8 life. They bounce my Emry. Yeah, not sure what victory looks like anymore. They've got so much flying power here. Did we draw the 2 perfect cards here? Because I can go Needle the Frogs, and I can Dismember the Oculus, right? Okay, well... That would have been a pretty cool comeback if this had allowed me to stabilize. I wasn't sure that we had enough mana to do everything there. The Needle was free. Figure you just cast the Urza there and see what happens. Doesn't that cost you 1 billion life? I think it cost me just 2 life. And I think... potentially, I was going to be able to equip the Shadowspear. I don't know if I think what I could have done is needled, equipped Shadowspear to construct, dismembered the Oculus on my opponent's turn after I block with the construct, tapping the construct for mana. But I decided to just cast the Urza first to see if it gets countered before doing all my counting. All right, might be wanting to needle the engineered explosives. Proactively. Not a matchup you want to mulligan in. This is a very slow hand, although it does kind of go off. Yeah, I think we'll keep on the play in this matchup. Do you find it easier to mulligan on Moto rather than IRL because you don't have to go through the process of reshuffling? I've never I've never been playing a tournament and looked at my hand and paper and been like, I shouldn't keep this hand, but I just don't want to shuffle. That's never been a thought I've had, no. No boots in the 35. Yeah, the way I play this deck, I tend to play it slower and more controlling. So I usually just don't play the boots in this build, but there are some decks I like to play boots in. This is just not one of them. Okay, I'm going to crack main phase because of Bowmaster. Actually, let's not, because then I kind of bluff Rebuke like this. Anybody ever figure out what the 84 was? Know what it means, but I won't tell you. Dang it. Probably multitasking or archetyping around window. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Kind of interested in making a construct and blocking. Like, if we get them to discard 2 of their 5 cards and then potentially set up to like either Aether Spellbomb or Sync, I think that works out kind of nice. So they discard Nile Spellbomb. Discard Marsh Flats. If they just discard to cast an Oculus anyways, then this was less nice for us, I suppose. Okay. So they have 1 card in their hand. We're almost definitely going to be casting Urza this turn. Mox Opal's a nice draw. So yeah, we're going to get the Aether Spellbomb. We play the Mox Opal so that we can get a Saga down this turn. Can't get Subtlety because they only have one card in their hand. Oh, sorry, I meant to leave this untapped so I could tap it for blue. Looks like I'm not going to be able to Kappa Cannoneer. But I am going to be able to bounce this. Bounce this. Hope this is not an Oculus. And pass the turn. Pretty good turn. Deadpool, 35 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Your hand is Frog, Oculus, 2 mystery cards. So this is not an Oculus if they're going to be playing this. Probably could have attacked first. Don't know that I would have blocked. Probably would not have blocked. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I would rather be able to attack with this construct than make this Kappa Cannoneer a lot bigger by playing artifacts after, if that makes sense. Oh no, I forgot to tap this for mana. So now if I play the Kappa Cannoneer, I have to do this. I think I actually do want to play the Cannoneer because the main way I'm going to lose now is to engineered explosives, and so this is going to be a nice hedge against explosives. But we should have been able to attack for 8 this turn. But I think but one big important thing, of course, is when you make a mistake like this or a misclick, not just like spinning Urza because you're frustrated. Like, identify the main way I lose is explosives. If they explosives here, that's best case scenario. We're still doing pretty good in that eventuality. All right, so they are hitting me for 3. I'm down to 17. They scour themselves. They build an Oculus. They've played another Frog. Great. So we could Needle Frog, potentially. It doesn't see... Okay, well, I drew the Needle. So I guess that's good. I guess we get the Shadowspear. I'm gonna name explosives. I don't really... Yeah. Don't think that naming a frog makes a lot of sense. Okay, won the match. Kind of a slow hand on the draw. Don't think it's one I want to click the mulligan button for. The draw against an Urza Saga. And an Aether Spellbomb. And a Mox Opal. And a pass. Well, being on the draw against the faster Affinity start is never an enviable position to be in. So they're playing a VV deck. We cycle. Love to draw a 0-mana artifact this turn, of course, so I could go Emry with Counterspell up. Okay, which I fail to do. I think I should play the Emry this turn. I think just holding up a Counterspell is not a good idea when this sets me up to potentially play Urza next turn. I do mill a Planisphere. Could maybe play that next turn and hold up Counterspell. But out of Modern for a few weeks, has the Final Fantasy set impacted meta with any significance? It isn't the biggest impact, but for me, I feel very much like I'm still in the exploration phase of Final Fantasy. I don't feel like I have a lot of answers. I have a lot of questions I'm still trying to find the answer to. So they play another copy of Urza Saga. They've got 3 cards in their hand after this. They bounce the Aether Spellbomb. Replay the Lantern. Sorry, replay the Spellbomb, sorry. Let's see what we draw. We draw Mox Opal, which is, I think, a good draw. So now we'll just leave up Counterspell or the ability to make a construct. We can't cast Urza because we don't have Metalcraft right now. Of course, making a construct not like the most valuable when they have Emry Spellbomb going on. But we can like, you know, think about it. Our opponent might if they main phase Spellbomb, we just make a construct because we won't have the mana to counterspell afterwards. I don't have main deck Needle. I could get my own Lantern to break this up eventually, maybe. I wonder if that's better than like going for Aether Spellbomb bounce plus plus counter on the way down. So if I get Aether Spellbomb, I'm not using this colorless mana very well. Let's get the Spellbomb. Anyways. They have 2 cards in their hand. If they have Metallic Rebuke for the Urza, it ends up being what I like to call a disaster. Maybe it's not that much of a disaster. Well, the thing is they bounce the Urza, then I don't have Counterspell up. Okay, so let me just go attack for 4 first. Because I'm just going to play the Emry. Okay, totally down for a trade. Do you think the Boros Legends deck could be playable again? I don't know what Boros Legends deck you're talking about. I don't ever recall a Boros Legends deck being playable in Modern, however. To me, it doesn't sound like any deck that's called Boros Legends has a lot of potential to be a playable Modern deck in the Boros Energy format. For better or for worse, right? My Norn Brew? Yeah, I mean, is that what you're calling Boros Legends? Because that deck has, like, Sotoro in it, which is a Dimir card. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's hard to play a deck named Boros Legends when Boros Energy exists. It's hard to play human synergies when Boros exists. So luckily they don't play around Counterspell. This deck. Yeah, I mean, this deck was really cool. Again, it's just like the synergies are just like so much weaker than playing a Johnny in a Bombardment or a Guide in a Pride. Okay, so they pop my graveyard. So we play Urza, and then I'm going to play another Emry. We've done so much self-milling, but I want to have something to replay. Okay, then we play Bauble. Cannot play Citadel. Emry says cast. Definitely something you can get tripped up on. Now I need to decide. Yeah, I think I'm holding the sync. Andy with the 29 months. Welcome back. They've got 3 cards in their hand. They main phase repeal my construct. I think I'm going to go ahead and use the counterspell because if this resolves, I can't use the counterspell, and you know, counterspelling 2-for-1s isn't the worst idea. All right, they had 2. They have another copy of Emry. That was a portable hole, notably. I'm taking 4. They've got 1 card in their hand, and they've still got this Aether Spellbomb. Now, I imagine they don't really want to bounce my Urza too aggressively, but they may want to bounce my Emry here. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think they realize I could just replay the Bauble. Alright, so on the top of their library is a Flooded Strand. Let's see what's on the top of my library. A Counterspell could possibly change my sequencing here. Shadowspear. I don't think that changes anything, so we'll go Emry, mill. We do mill a Planisphere, which is nice. And I'm going to bounce the Emry so that I don't get Spellbomb locked too badly. I draw 2 cards. Their hand is Emry, Flooded Strand, Mystery card. Hi Spike, can you stop playing Amber Opal decks? I won't ever have the money to buy a playset of Opal for $1,000. Well, I think they'll probably reprint it at some point. And you know, one unfortunate thing about Modern is that the Amber Opal decks are just like they're just the best decks to brew with because they're so open ended and they keep printing so many cards like VV and Planisphere that go so well with them. So I'm also getting kind of tired of them, but unfortunately, this is what I don't curate the Modern format. I just play what's available, and this has been a big chunk of what's available for a while. I also don't own Mox Opals. Yeah, we will orchestrate the Mox Opal heist one of these days. Obviously, in joking manner. Yeah, I know. I know it's a kind of a common sentiment too. I do get it. I am also I'm also tired of like the best thing to be brewing with in Modern being Opal Amber decks, but they just keep printing things that are really good with it, like Steel Cutter, Planisphere, VV. Like this is what exists to explore at the moment. But I do certainly hope they get reprinted sooner rather than later. I don't know like what set it would be. Okay, well I've got to counter that, which means that they're going to get to Aether Spellbomb my construct. But I've got the Planisphere at least. How much counter magic do I have left? I've used 2 counter spells, 1 sync, and then exile is a 3rd counter spell. So 1 counter spell, 3 syncs left. My opponent decides to go for Lantern instead of Aether Spellbomb, which is interesting. It looks like they're afraid of the Shadowspear. Are they going to draw a card? Like, they need cards. Okay, they're not drawing a card. So that's unlikely to be super impactful. Let me draw 1 card here. Now that's going to be more impactful. Yeah, I can cast both of those on my opponent's turn, so let's not flip the Tamiyo. I don't really want to flip it anyways. Boone with the 15 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Equip for 2. Well, I need to be able to double rebuke instead. That's true. I guess if I sack the clue, then the thing resolved. Using a mill deck, using Sphinx's Tutelage and Water Crystal combo. What is Water Crystal? I have not thought about it. Blue spells cost 1 less. If opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill that many cards plus 4 instead. So a Sphinx's Tutelage and a Water Crystal I guess this would reliably mill a lot of opponents out. Is the idea? Sounds kind of interesting. You could play Sapphire Medallion, perhaps. Perhaps. Forgot about the portable hole. So another one of these is interesting. Oh, sorry, I guess I could have done this in combat and dealt 1 extra damage. Gonna move this over here since this, in theory, is the best Aether Spellbomb target. Sybil the Mill guy already has videos on YouTube for that combo. Yeah, I don't love that it's like 3 mana permanent, 4 mana permanent, untap with them for this thing to work. That doesn't sound great. Oh, I thought I responded to this. Yeah, that doesn't sound great. That card triggers on draw, right? So I'm gonna spin the Urza main phase, I guess. It's a pretty good hit. Pretty good. Yeah, so this is gonna also trigger the Planisphere's third card draw. Okay, then the sync seems nice too. I could Lrien Revealed again. I don't have that many cards left in my deck is one thing here. Does me just bouncing... I think if I just bounce the Tamiyo, they're going to be dead a lot of the time here. I think also if I move this here first, then like this is a lethal attacker, and I can start to grow this other card again. Not that I think it really needs to grow at all, really. Couldn't you play cards like Bauble to avoid the have to untap restriction? You could. You just won't always have a Mishra's Bauble, and your combo is still slow and clunky. And it doesn't beat Eldrazi, which is an issue, but it's interesting. I do think a Bauble speeding up the turn could be good. Although you have to, I guess you can crack it on your turn. So you won game 1. That was definitely a grind fest. I'm interested in these 3 cards. I'm not very interested in Pithing Needle since we have basically all the same stuff. I don't think I want the Lantern, despite there being some... Oh, I guess they are playing Jeskai Ascendancy, so maybe they have Savine's Reclamation. Savine's Rec would be really good in their deck. Yeah, so I forgot they're on Jeskai Ascendancy, not like VV normal stuff. So maybe what the Force is. Seems like the Rebukes get kind of dead with all the Mox in, so maybe just on Counterspell Force. Maybe the Kappa Cannoneers are bad. Maybe we're just like Counterspell Control. Kind of believe that. I think I'm trimming Mox on the draw. These games go so long. Thoughts of Ruin, VV is insane. What is the card Thoughts of Ruin? Is that that's the each player sacrifices lands? Okay, that one. Yeah, I don't know. I think this card could be interesting. It does seem really good with VV. Like you like make everyone sack all their lands and then oh, dude, that's bad for me. You make everyone sack all the lands and then you're the one with a mana generator. I think it makes more sense in that Cauldron build we saw. I'm going to get greedy, try to draw my Dismember. If I sack the second Bauble, I've got double the chances. So, like, is Thoughts of Ruin better than Temporal Trespass? Like, we identified that these, like, big, go over-the-top spells are quite good. Thoughts of Ruin seems like it's good with VV when you have a bunch of cards in hand, or like 3 cards in hand, which seems kind of tough. Compare that to Trespass, which is good not just with VV turns, also good on Steel Cutter turns, good to go like just Emry into Trespass sometimes. I don't know. It's a very interesting tech, though. Spike, what you doing in there? And where? What are you talking about? What? Any clue why energy players are playing some number of Joshua copies in their deck? I think they think it's better than like the other 3 drops. It might be better than Fable the Mirror Breaker, but that card sucks. We're pretty dead here. It might be better than Fable, but you shouldn't be playing Fable anyways. I don't think it's better than Spyro. I don't think it's better than Sephiroth, and we've played against Lightning and straight Boros, and Lightning's looked pretty good, but you kind of have to play 4 arenas. Do you think there's a Planisphere plus cutter list? Maybe. Is Joshua better than Tercer? I don't think Joshua is good, period, in that deck, but you don't think Fable sucks? In it is the worst card in Boros Energy in every matchup besides the Mirror, I think. I think it's good in the Mirror, and it's good against like blue-white control, and I don't even think it's good against black-white because it's so bad against Felia. But it is just, I just would never play it in Boros right now. Like, I just play against Boros, and like when they play Fable, I'm just like, I'm so glad they didn't have like any other card this turn. Have you seen Dak Faden's Winota Lightning deck? No, Lightning Winota. It does put it into play attacking. That's pretty cool. All right, let's go to game 3. Get to be on the play for game 3. Play 1 Rebuke over Counterspell 4 and click Submit. It does accelerate Flage as much as Spyro and has a bigger body and ceiling. Well, okay, here's the thing. If you're discarding spells... Oh, man, this hand's so close. Okay, this hand is actually keepable. Put back the Lrien Revealed, I guess. So if you're discarding spells to Seasoned Pyromancer, like, in theory, you have 4 power over 3 bodies compared to a single 3/4, right? Which should be better. If you're discarding 2 spells. And the big thing, though, is that, of course, Seasoned Pyromancer lets you draw 2 cards if your hand is empty. That is just... That's kind of like the biggest deal ever on that card, right? Uh-oh. Could you play Rydia in Delirium with the new 2/1 Saga instead of Fable? It can act as Arena or Phoenix. That card is not playable, I think. That card is just not good. Rydia in the Delirium deck is interesting. You need to figure out how to play Saga in there. Sakura was testing 4 Storm Chasers talent plus VV. I did like Sakura's first VV list. Storm Chasers talent, like Town, does seem like something that you could do. I've definitely been I've been interested in figuring out, like, is there a playable Storm Chasers talent deck in Modern? So it looks like we're not going to be able to hold up the Rebuke. Yeah, if Joshua drew 2 cards when your hand was empty, it would be absolutely good, I think. Where's Astrolabe? I've been banned for like 5 years. Another I guess their first Tamiyo this game. They have 1 card left in their hand, but they're going to refill up to 4 after they crack these baubles, I guess. And then next turn we can maybe flip a Tamiyo and play a new Tamiyo. Hopefully you get something good to Rebuke. They only sack 1 Bauble, but they would keep Metalcraft with Tamiyo, so I think that's probably incorrect. Yeah, the tokens are better with Bombardment. Yeah, it's like Seasoned Pyromancer is just like, in my opinion, just like you should be playing the 4th copy of that before any of these other, like, non-flaged 3-drops. Well, I guess we bounce this, or counter this. I think Withering Torment is a viable Modern answer to Domain / worth a sideboard slot. If you're playing black, usually I would recommend playing Sudden Edict instead. It even gets around like Scion plus Stubborn Denial up sometimes, which is good. Needle's not a card I was expecting to see. She'd flip on Draw Step if they cracked both. I guess that might be... and then they wouldn't have Metalcraft. Okay, smart. Okay, they name Emry. Yeah, I don't really like... having Needle in the mirror matchup where whatever you name, you're going to hurt your own thing. This deck is hell sweet. Does it matter something? It's a build that we've been working on for a while. It's not super meta, no. But we've had some tournament success with it, or league success. I think we maybe had one good challenge run, but I can't recall. All right, so we're gonna flip the Tamiyo. Plus the Tamiyo. Play Bauble. Draw 2 more. Let me see what they're drawing. Scalding Tarn. So they also get another card off the Bauble. They've got the Clue token. I think I want to play this out so I can block here and potentially minus my Tamiyo, get back Thoughtcast, flip this Tamiyo next turn. Can I replace Mox Opal with Tormod's Cryptid? It's way cheaper. You can do whatever you want. I suggest getting a team of like 11 to 12 of your closest friends who have like a unique set of skills. You need like a demolitions expert. You need a card counter. You need a magician. You need a hacker. You need a seductress. You need I guess that probably covers most of your bases. And then you need to get an elaborate plan together to rob the armored truck that's carrying the world supply of Mox Opals. And I think that that's going to be your best chance to play a deck like this. So we block like this. They flip the Tamiyo. Yeah, and you need a streamer. They forget to plus the Tamiyo. And that's how most people get their Mox Opals. Rigby with the 19 months. Thank you. Welcome back. So there's an Emry. There is a Needle on Emry. And we don't have the mana to play and equip Shadowspear. I might just sack one of these Clue tokens. Yeah, I think I'm going to plan to do that. Obviously love to see them drawing so many lands. They keep a card on top. They could potentially draw it with the Clue token. 2 cards in their hand. One of them is the land, or did they play the land? This was probably the mystery card. I doubt they would have kept that on top, right? We've made 2 Tifa decks, an Infect deck and a Landfall aggro deck. Tifa is strong, but these archetypes aren't, and it seems to be that could chump block to get a minus. I think I'm not going to do that. Tifa is strong, these archetypes aren't. So I'm trying to see if there is a strong archetype that has Tifa, but it's just like, if you want to play like an aggro deck, like these builds of Tifa are not good ways to build aggro decks in Modern. So they've got a stop on my draw step here. I hope their last card is not a counterspell. Thankfully, it seems not to be. I'm going to draw a card. Classic tap the Mox to Urza. And then let's go ahead and put the Tamiyo down to 3, I guess, so that if they do minus on the repeal, they at least lose the Tamiyo. Have you investigate 4 Tifa in the sideboard of Titan thing? I mean, that doesn't sound interesting, really. Like, that doesn't sound good or interesting. So I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it. They might bounce their Needle and Needle Tamiyo. That could be interesting. But they probably just bounce the Construct. Like I think you could maybe have 1 Tifa to Green Sun 4 in Titan. So they have a new card in their hand here. Do I have a play? I guess sorry, I guess there's a needle on the Emry. So Tamiyo's gonna go down. Well, actually, no. Tamiyo's gonna go to 1, right? Nice. So draw Saga, not bad. To spin or to hold up sync? I think I'm supposed to spin. Yeah, there's just a lot of hits that let me also hold up sync, of course. You don't play limited much. I highly recommend drafting Final Fantasy. Yeah, I've got some friends that meet up and they do drafts on Mondays. But like this is always the problem is that, when they're drafting the new set, they're drafting the new set like now on the set cycle where it's just come out. I'm very busy during this time because I'm building all these decks and like it's just the most important time to be exploring constructed. And by the time I'm ready to like. By the time things cool down, I'm ready to go over and draft. They're drafting something else. So that's the problem. Okay, so this is just a draw 2. So I don't think I do anything about that yet. They have a Saga. They have a VV. So they get another Monk. I'm going to... They only have 1 card in their hand, actually. So this keeps Tamiyo alive at 1 again. Kills a construct. I gain 2. Okay, and then let's bounce Needle end of turn. This kind of lets them double spell more easily. I just bounce the VV. Oh, I guess one big problem is Aether Spellbomb bouncing my constructs. I don't have Trespass in this deck, no. Could be good. Don't have any fetch lands, though. I don't understand the Tifa hype, but no one cared about Mossborn Hydra. Let me read Mossborn Hydra. I mean, this card is 3 mana instead of 2, but it is really similar. Although it is also just counters, so it like doesn't work with a pump spell. Yeah, the difference between 2 and 3 mana is also like unbelievable. Oh, they already have the Spellbomb in the yard. Okay. So maybe I should have main phase token equipped and still had Spellbomb force up, but probably not the biggest deal either. So in his VV mystery card, you're also down to like 4 minutes, 30 seconds. It's been a good match. Hydra stays big. Well, I don't think that hasn't been a problem with Tifa. Tifa just kills your opponent if you get to do the thing very consistently. Interesting they didn't go for the Steel Cutter equip. Yeah, I think like it's kind of Christmas land to be like, I'm gonna attack twice with my Hydra. That's just how modern is. That's not the kind of card you get to attack twice with. You probably don't even get to attack once with it. Okay, I wonder what this attack that they're doing here means. They have Wrath the Skies? Repeal? Fire magic. Blowout. Don't know why they boarded that in. Wait, was that even good? Doesn't that just kill all their creatures and kills my Emry? I guess I didn't even need to force that. Listen, your opponent spends 6 mana. If your opponent spends 6 mana, usually just not force it. But I don't actually know that did anything. I think they're dead too here, right? So I have 11, 12 points of power. Or sorry, 13 points of power. And this is puts it down to 12. And that is exactly enough to attack for lethal. Could you have paid mana for that too? Oh, I wanted to leave up the Aether Spellbomb in theory. Also the Emry's Needle, like pitching Emry is pretty free. Okay, long first two matches, but we do advance. I'm pretty sure it just would have only killed the Emry and their monks, right? How much mana do you think a flip Tamiyo would cost if you could just cast the backside? At least 3 mana. Wow, thank you for being right on time, Tamiyo. $5? You think this is worth 5? Not 5 mana. I think 3 is pretty appropriate in a modern Horizon set. Okay, Mistrise Village, this card always enters tapped, and then they go Cavern of Souls on Slivers. So my opponent hates counterspells. Unfortunately, my hand is mostly counterspells. So holding up this Rebuke doesn't seem like a wise thing. We are running into Diffusion Sliver here, which is also the coolest thing ever. I guess we will hold this. It'd be very fun if we got to Metallic Rebuke something. I might just Rebuke whatever they play, just for the counter on the Planisphere. Yeah, great match. Oh, crop not you. Returning to Modern from a long break, seems like I can cut choke from my sideboard as there aren't many decks use islands anymore, thanks to MDFC cards. That might be like a little reductive, but I think for the most part, that's... my opponent has Mistrise Village and Cavern of Souls, and I get to Metallic Rebuke a stock up Slivers. Imagine how many viewers I would have if the title of my stream was Stock Up Slivers. People would be going crazy. So we go Lantern, attack, Thoughtcast, flip the Tamiyo, 2 counters on the hero. Did not draw the land. Yeah, they are probably Magda combo, aren't they? Untap Godless Shrine in the Mistrise Village deck. Passes the turn. Am I going to get to counter a Collected Company here? No. Okay, you have 2 mana available, opponent. I can't counter the next spell you play. The spell is Orim's Chant. So while I can't counter this, if I had 1 more mana, I could try to get this up to 9 power, but I don't have 1 more mana, so let's just let that go. Pretty good draw. The Diffusion Sliver has chump blocked. So this is going to be a 5 mana Sliver, presumably. Goodbye, Gemstone Mine, number 1. I can't counter this. I can counter... Okay, oh, it's the Soaring Sliver deck. The deck that I have been requested to play many times and will, of course, never, ever, 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 ever play. Unbelievable how good my counterspells have been against Orim's Chant, Cavern of Souls, Mistrise Village. We're 2-0 at the moment. This is not the 0-2 bracket. This is somehow the 2-0 bracket, which is fun. What does say? Soren puts Morphian into play. Can you share your 5-0 goblins? Yes, please. Been missing goblins. Incredible pronunciation. You're just hating my Texas accent. Why are they doing that? I mean, if they go like Mistrized Village, Soaring, put Morpheon into play, I just counter the next thing, I guess. that would be the last card in hand. Are you Arena of Glory Warren Instigator? Yeah, I tested this off stream a while ago. And it didn't go very well for me, but I'm glad you're trying it. It does seem like kind of the main thing to be doing. Playing Thoughtseize is the main. This card looks really fun. There are 2 Earwig squads. Wow. Cool, congrats. Been missing goblins. My opponent says the efficiency is unparalleled. Well, I'm going to bring in the Pithing Needle for their Soaring, I guess. Yes, please. They've got a lot of anti-counter magic cards. The counter magic seems pretty dang good against them, though. Was really good. Turns out getting max speed was weirdly feasible. Yeah, it's interesting. Now I'm getting adverts as a long-time super sip. Okay, yeah, you're the second person today to say that they've been getting ads, which is not something that should happen. I'm sorry that's happening. That sucks. Okay, opponent's on a mold of 5. Oh, because of the panda? I mean, maybe, I don't know. Another anti-counterspell card. We mill a Planisphere. So take a peek. Another copy of Stock Up. We're dead. It's all Ogre. Oh, never mind. This is turn 2. Urza with Counterspell up. Will Counterspell be good? Do they have Soaring plus Morpheon? I know you want them to have Soaring Morpheon. I want them to have Soaring Morpheon too. Let's fucking go! Yes! Do it. Okay, we'll see what they cascade into. They hit another Soaring. They've got 2 cards left in their hand. Keep going! I guess we know they have a Stock Up. Oh no, counter on Morpheon. Counter on Morpheon. No. No! I'm so sorry. Oh wait, I guess I can't Harbinger and Sync. Okay, so that's good news. Cantus, thank you for the Twitch, or 2 months. I see Morpheon, I sub. Okay, I didn't know that that was the formula. A lot of people have asked me about this stack, but like, there's just no way. I'm so sorry, y'all. You could not play Harbinger? Yeah, I mean, I could. Well, I have enough blue mana. I couldn't play Harbinger and Sync. Right? Because I didn't have this. Oh, sorry. I couldn't play Harbinger, Sync, and kill Soaring. This has to attack Soaring. I could cast both, but this needs to attack the Soaring. So that I don't lose the second Morpheon. Not playing Harbinger is crazy when they have Stony on top. Well, I am beating Stony Silence really easily for whatever if that helps. Spike, I beg you, read the name of the card, Morpheon. I just have an accent. Morpheon. I have a refined Dallas accent. I missed the ruling for Harbinger Urza Saga. Do you know why they changed it? They changed it because of the new Saga creatures. They didn't want them to just die if they had no chapters from some abilities in Standard. There's not a single Morpheon. I know, but my accent adds E's and R's everywhere. You think I want to live like this? Is there not a Glory Sliver? Watcher Sliver. It's gonna name Glory Sliver. It would be like, I love your deck. Yeah, I mean, like obviously I could name Verdant Catacombs, but they're just dead. So let's have a little fun. All right, trophy prediction 3-0. I don't really feel like we understand everything that's going on with them because we haven't played in a modern metagame where Blood Moon is well positioned. While these Saga changes have been out, so maybe that will change at some point. But for now, I just feel like we don't have the full picture. Gonna add 3 times in 45 minutes is normal. I haven't changed anything. There's been like several reports like this so far today. It seems like Twitch has done something. I don't know what's going on. You should be able to subscribe to not see the ads. Okay, Grazer Flare in Reclamation is interesting. Oh, sorry. I meant to play the Sync so I could hold Counterspell up this turn. Guess we're gonna get in there. I haven't seen Andor 1 or 2. I've seen like the first 3 episodes of Andor, and people say it gets good at like episode 4, but I've not really been watching a lot of TV. It's been like a video game year for me, where like I played Split Fiction with Esther, and then Kishla Village. I played Split Fiction with Esther, and then we played Expedition 33, and now she's playing Cyberpunk for the first time. Which is one of my favorite games ever. But I do want to watch Andor at some point. I just continue to do other things. So I don't want to offer the trade. Crater Maker cracked at killing Ugins. This is not a good review of Goblin Crater Maker. Not that there ever has been a good review of Goblin Crater Maker. 3 mana kill an Ugin. Get out of here. I think I'll counterspell this. They flare back. Cool. The ISP decided to kill the stream yesterday. Yeah, or the I mean, we've been having power issues. Like it flickered yesterday for longer than usual. The day before, but that was after the stream. And so sorry. It's been a pain. Choose opponent. What do you think of Expedition 33? I thought it was an incredible. One of my favorite games of all time. Like just top 5 video game ever. Incredibly good. Bouncing the Saga seems really wise because this stops me from getting something to do with the Emry. Let's get in there. They have an Ice Fang with Death Touch. And then they don't block. So I think I would like to hold up Sync instead of casting Tamiyo. Is Magic the Gathering a video game? If it is, it's not like top 5 all time. I don't know. Cyberpunk was so poorly optimized it crashed my apartment. My PC pulled so much power trying to render the center of the city I tripped the breaker. Did it 3 times in a row to see if it was a fluke. You shouldn't have done it the 3rd time. I would hate to be your neighbor. The 3rd time? 3 times is crazy. I guess I don't need to kill this right now. Yeah, I'm just going to offer the trade. And then I'm going to probably, or hope to be able to kill the Teferi with my Construct next turn. Yeah, I didn't really have issues with Cyberpunk at launch. I've played through the game 3 times. I know that there were issues. I just have like a good PC, but I didn't experience a lot of the same things people did. Yeah, them flaring there was pretty pointless. We're probably gonna lose. Second Ice Fang is very good, and I love that I'm saying that here today. So they let that get exiled, which I guess is a bad sign. Well, let's see if this can get in. Does hit. They're down to 11. Now, we should be in a spot where any one of these constructs could be lethal next turn. Decided to, oh, they were 1 mana short of the Deluge flashback. I did miss that. Well, the flares are really interesting. If they're attacking, that means they have Nexus of Fate. You have Time Warp? Can you deal with 2 of my constructs? But they have Orum's Chant. Alright. Let's go to game 3. Game 2. So I'm going to bring in the Forces. I'm going to bring in the Harbingers. I think Needle for Teferi doesn't sound that bad. Let's cut Aether Spellbomb, Shadowspear. Lantern seems fine. Cutting a Mox seems fine. I think I want to cut like 2 Planispheres. Cut 1 Urza against the counterspells. Maybe go down to 1. I think I want 2. Try this. Been having daydreams of playing Glarb and Salte Rack since you can cast Cryptic and Deluge off the top. Let's go, baby. This sounds pretty fun. Maybe the Harbingers are bad. Sorry, I think Harbingers are bad. I think they actually just operate way too well on only blue mana. Yeah, I think I'm a little too used to like playing Reclamation and being really weak to Blood Moon, but Harbingers like do probably cut them off of like a lot of the actions. Oh, they're also playing Flare, so they have so many basics. Yeah, no Harbingers. Keep. I'm gonna save the Bauble for the Planisphere, I guess. Once on the mold to 6. No Cryptic Coat, you've changed. Like I have changed. What think of Raban and Hammer Time? So I've been playing Hammer. We've been having some success with it. But the thing is, I'm really kind of like, we have a lot of draws with Steel Cutter and Cassandra and Cloud that don't involve hammer draws, which allow you to build the deck in a way that you are like really resilient to interaction, and you can run your Paladins out more aggressively, and you can be a lot grindier. And this is a formula that I've been liking, and it's been feeling pretty good. So Raban plays more into the hammer plan than I currently recommend, if that makes sense. I recommend being a little less in on the hammer plan and being more in on kind of artifact aggro with hammer, because like just Cloud and Cassandra and Steel Cutter and Sentinel and all this stuff just allows you to do that. So they didn't flare. I thought they were going to flare. So if they counter this, it's a little weird. Okay, They do not. Now, am I going to prioritize more damage? I don't think I cared that much about the extra clue token this game. So we're going to prioritize more damage instead. And I think we hold the Mox. Attack for 6. Planisphere looking pretty good. What matchups are Kappas for? Dimir, Orzhov, Boros. A few, like, Affinity mirrors. Those kind of... The grindy matchups. So my opponent counterspells this Thoughtcast. What do we do? Probably nothing. Is there a deck command for opponent's deck? Could you imagine the the production value if that was true, or if we did? Do Kappas work against Boros? I feel like they just tread water with the guide life gain. Yeah, like a Shadowspear on a Kappa Cannoneer pretty regularly wins. Right, they got 6 cards in their hand. They do have Death Touch on the Ice Fang now. Going to game 3. I'll say that, like, it's not like this just wins the game by itself, but just access to a couple Cannoneers is a part of your Boros sideboard plan, but the Boros matchup's not too bad anyways. Did we want to make any more changes? No. Let's click submit. Be right back. Kept this hand. My opponent's on the mold of 6 again. Let's draw an Emry. So they're mold of 6. Do they have Flazer Flare? Flazer Flare. Grazer Flare. Why do most decks play 7 Mox instead of 8? It's a good question. Hold on, let me force this. I think they're on the mulligan. It kind of depends. Like there are definitely situations I think where playing the full set of Moxen makes more sense. Like if you're Jeskai Ascendancy and you have Narset and you have Jeskai Ascendancy and you have a lot of ways to get rid of them and you're just like really good at utilizing them. I think it makes sense, but you don't want to be too Mox flooded in my experience. In fact, I've been kind of thinking that 6 in decks like this might even be, I guess we could punish your Plague Land. 6 copies might be the better number anyways. Planisphere has been good. Been definitely good. It's our first league with the deck. So they reveal a flare to the Oracle. They're going to have 2 cards in their hand here. Draw a Counterspell, which is nice. I don't exactly know how this game is losable if I just pick up this Force of Negation, though. I guess this is a little bad because now they can attack the Tamiyo. Does turn off their flares. Can't be that bad. What do you think about Consign on the Wreck trigger after they tap all their mana? It's bad, right? Yeah, I mean, I'd rather counter the 4 mana non-creature spell. if possible. So they have one card in their hand. They're drawing a copy of Teferi. So maybe it would have been nice to have played the Needle. Sorry, I got coughing. They can't go Teferi and Wrath the Skies, which is good. Crop with the 45 bucks. Welcome back. A legacy challenge winning deck was playing 4 and 4 Flame of Anor. They had the same amount of wizards as Modern Brewers, and we're trying to splash flame here. So if we're gonna play red, Steel Cutter would also be something nice. Like I really do think mono blue is the way to go for this archetype. I'm feeling blue. So let's get just a Bauble. Now these are very good against my constructs. I do think I want to cash in for another counterspell. I do think I want to make a Teferi like not a particularly annoying top deck. Let me see what they're drawing. Am I going to counterspell an Ice Fang? I don't know. I did board out my Shadowspear, which I would recommend doing in this matchup. I think we'll just go ahead and get one of these traded for him. Yeah, I think the Ice Fang is going to be... It's going to be annoying enough, and they don't have that many resources. That this should be fine. Might bounce this, we'll see. I do like that we can start basically every turn knowing what they're about to draw, so we can sequence this perfectly. So they're drawing a Kishla Village, you don't need to worry about that. Getting this up to 20 power this turn seems unrealistic. That's probably a game-winning top deck. I guess we might as well spin since we know we don't need to hold up Counterspell. Alright, if they bounce, they can recast. I mean, I guess I could counter on the way down, too. Alright, so do I have enough mana to go sync? Yeah, I should have plenty of mana to go sync, counter. So we maybe get got by a Supreme Verdict. Excuse me. Hope I'm not getting sick. They graveyard a Memory Deluge. I might untap the Emry and... I might untap the Emry and Lantern it. Looks like I can do that and pretty easily keep up the other counterspell. Without even playing the other Opal. Counterspell! Alright, this is just such a good Counterspell deck. Okay, we're 4-0. We already did our trophy prediction. Let's get in there. This was a regular island. This could be a fun keep with the turn 2 0 mana Tamiyo flip. Now I gotta go to 5. Hand's very... I mean, I guess it's a mull to 5. I mean, we're gonna keep, but it's close to a turn 1 Emry Thoughtcast. In this game, you didn't prioritize taking up the Tamiyo to ult. Could you explain why you didn't like that line? Yeah, my opponent has a ton of crazy top decks like Wrath the Skies, Stock Up, Memory Deluge, and they have no cards in their hand. So when I pick up a counterspell, it's just so devastating each time I pick up a counterspell with a Tamiyo. They're on at least a mull to 6 here. So I'm gonna put back a Bauble and the Lrien Revealed, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, the Planisphere has been good. It's been, I think it's been like such a good fit for this deck, and this is a deck that I have definitely liked a lot. So we mill another Bauble, which I think means that I want to not crack this one, so I can go cast Bauble, 2 mana Thoughtcast next turn. Why Lrien over Island? You have a lot of flood problems in this archetype. So it's good flood insurance, not the most complicated, right? Crack at least one. Probably we'll end up cracking both. I guess. Yeah, I don't want to crack both, or I didn't want to crack both and draw the cards to where I couldn't flip the Tamiyo next turn, but if I do this, I could maybe Tamiyo crack Aether Spellbomb. Right, so they have a Bauble on top. It's a fine card to know about, I guess. Good draws. I think I want to play the Sphere and Tamiyo instead of trying to prioritize flipping Tamiyo. I might end up getting to channel this Otawara also. So we know that they're drawing a Bauble. And then their next card is a Arid Mesa. Do you ever think about Arkham's Astrolabe? I think about how I'm glad that card is banned. It was there have been 2 times in my Modern streaming career that I have stopped playing Modern primarily to focus on another format. One was in the Image 3 era with Boros Synergy being super dominant, and then the other was the Urza metagame, and both were kind of similar, where like the Urza deck and the Boros Synergy deck really polarized the metagame and like what kind of archetypes you could build and play, because they were so much better than everything else in a way that was just so negative. I don't like Lrien as flood insurance because you often flood because you cycled early. Could you expand on this? I don't understand the logic. I'm not following. What did I play in Astrolabe? Well, I was still, a brewer at the time, but it's just like at the time, like you just could not play any like mid-range aggro or control deck because they couldn't beat Urza. And it's very similar to Boros. You couldn't play any mid-range aggro or control because they couldn't beat Boros. So right now this is 18 damage, which means I'll need to chump with something. 20 damage. So to chump with the hero token or to chump with the Tamiyo? The hero token I think has got to be what I need so that I can not just get run over by everything. I need something that's chomping up these attackers. That could be a reason not to play 4/3 Lrien. I have 2 Lrien in the deck, not either of those. But I don't understand like the idea that it makes you flood because you cycled it earlier. It's not much different. Like if you're, it's Lrien Revealed. You top deck it instead of an island in the late game. You get to draw 3. It's not rocket science. Okay, so one of these is mine. One of these is my opponent's. Interesting draw. So this probably means I'm not going to be able to effectively channel Otawara, because I probably need to slam the Urza, right? I think that's true. So I can go Aether Spellbomb, bounce, bounce this token. I guess bouncing this token is it's kind of the same, but just I'm just gonna leave up an Aether Spellbomb bounce for whatever the hammer is attached to. I think Shatter is missing that Lrien comes to the place of some land. So yeah, we're playing Lrien over island, not over a spell. That might be what you're missing. We could also have cast the Thoughtcast. I think I wanted the extra blocker this turn. Doesn't seem like we're going to have a hard time casting the Thoughtcast next turn. So they have 2 new cards in their hand. They also have the Sunbaked Canyon. Doesn't have Metalcraft. 1, 2, 3. I think there is still Metalcraft. Have I tried the new Aether Drift card? Gain 3, draw 3. No, I've seen other people play it. I haven't been particularly impressed by it when I've seen it in action. But I've not tried it myself. Could have cast Thoughtcast with Spellbomb and bounce after block or construct. That's true. That probably there probably wasn't much downside to doing that. Has Buster Sword been playable in Modern? I've liked having 1 copy in my hammer list. Yeah, I've been kind of thinking about it a little bit with VV. Like, kind of seems nice to put on VV that you get to like make a lot of extra mana, and you can go VV untap. Maybe that's asking a lot, but you get to cast the sword and then equip, even if you have nothing else. Well, I don't know. Buster Sword is better than Sword of Fire. It's better than any other sword in the format. Maybe I was supposed to bounce the Paladin in response to equips here, so they can't move anything onto the there. But wait, how are they? What is this attack? Am I missing something? I guess maybe I am. I don't think so. I mean, I guess I lose my hero token. Yeah, I guess it's okay for them to trade 2 monks for the hero. Oh, I lose the construct because I lose the spell bomb. Never mind. Sorry, this is a good attack. That's what I'm missing. Of course. Okay, so let's make constructs. Get Shadowspear. This is 0 mana. We might as well play it, or I guess 2 mana. We're gonna pay for the Sentinel no matter what, but maybe 0 mana isn't the right way to frame that. Minamo's kind of interesting. And I did like the tech of just tapping the construct to activate the spell bomb on my opponent's turn. So my opponent's hand is Pure Steel Paladin, and they're drawing a new mystery card. That mystery card is Galvanic Blast. I'm shocked to, or War Leader's Helixed to see Galvanic Blast here. Would not play that card in Hammer, I guess. But it got me. Very sad card to see. Alright, I'm going to cut the Lantern. I'm going to bring in Dismember. We were dead on board. No. I can tap the construct in Aether Spellbomb in combat after blocking with a big life-linking 6/6. Do you want Needle for Hammer? So the problem with Needle for Hammer is it's only good against Pure Soul Paladin, and Pure Soul Paladin has a lot of extra equity these days. It doesn't stop Sigardizade. Counterspell not so good. On the play, I think it's fine. On the draw, I think I want to cut some for forces. I think on the play, it's fine. I think I'm gonna play one Consign over one Counterspell though. Harbinger seems pretty good versus Hammer. Why? It doesn't kill their sagas anymore. I guess this build probably doesn't play. It does play fetch lands, but they play Mox Opal. Like if they have a Mox Opal, like they can cast most of their spells. Yeah, pretty slow too. Now doing into Harpit, I don't think your Urza, Emry, Tamiyo, Thoughtcast deck needs more flood insurance. The insurance Lrien offers comes with the big risk of making mulligans worse, and hands needed to come with land makes 2 mana hand. I'd rather have a land deck. I mean, that's fine opinion. I do want to push back a little bit and say that, like, obviously I've been playing a lot of these decks, and I think I'm getting a mulligan kind of close. I've been playing a lot of these decks, and these decks flood a ton. These decks flood, like, an insane amount. Like, look, we have 26 mana sources in our deck. These decks are super prone to flooding. Wait, was that 26 not counting Lrien? That is counting Lrien. So it's, in my opinion, you very, very much want flood insurance. Okay, mulling to 5 again. Mulling to 4, and then there's a Lrien. And there's no lands. Mull to 3. What an anticlimactic end. Should have kept the 7, I guess. Like we've won games with Lrien, and maybe we had to mulligan one of these hands because of Lrien. I think you have to keep the Emry here. Just try to, if we could just top deck a Bauble. Imagine it was a 4 and we had the Bauble. Ugh. Do you think VV artifacts could play Urza? I think if you play VV, it has to be the top of your curve. It could be a different type of flood insurance, like random MDFC or something. Well, we have 4 sinks, but Lrien is very like you just have a random mana laying over like with the Moxen pretty often. I just disagree that it's a big problem. Like, what if those lands were islands? Yeah, I mean, but like I don't think you've watched the whole league. We have won multiple games this league because we had Lrien Revealed over island. There was one game like we spun into it off Urza, and it was like the only thing that like bailed us out, and or maybe we were ahead that game anyways. We're 4-0 this league, and I'm gonna keep playing the Lriens, but I do appreciate the feedback. Okay, not the worst. It's also not like, Lrien Revealed has been legal and modern for like 2 years at this point. It's not like we really have to be like, try to understand at this point if this card is like good or something you're interested in. It's like, I think at this point you should either know if you like it or if you don't. Draw Mox Opal and could like make a construct and Spellbomb activate that could maybe get us out of this. Taking 6. So I draw Tamiyo. So maybe I got very punished for going for Spellbomb over Bauble this game. Obviously on the Mull to 3, I don't know. We did draw the Saga off the Spellbomb, so that ended up being pretty good. Can VV be good in Storm as a sideboard option? Not really. Like, what are you siding it in against? I don't, I just like I just don't understand even the thought of VV in Storm. Yeah, glad we've had at least 2 hours of stable streaming. Just saw the first fair VV on Earth deck. You're not interested in something like this? Look, not that bad. I'm really only interested in VV in like the 0-mana artifact package. I think you could play Unearth also, but I think that VV is a card that kind of demands you play Emry, Tamiyo, Moxen, Bauble, Flame of Anor. For me, that's like an immutable package that I'm always playing, and I'll say that I've really, really liked the Temporal Trespass build too. This is still our first league sketch, even though we're like 2 hours, 20 minutes in. It's been a long league. Did I see the Resurgent Belief deck that 5-0? Was it the one that was like cascading into it off of the Bloodbraid Marauder? Do they have Galvanic Blast? Wait, they don't have Metalcraft if they have Galvanic Blast. Yeah, I thought that build was cool. I do think the Bahamut card is more interesting than I gave it credit for. So they're moving here. I guess we'll just take 3. Make a 3/3. They don't Galvanic Blast the Emry yet, or if they do have it. If I want to Shadowspear this turn, I can't make a second construct. Nor could I do much with the Emry. If I get Shadowspear, I could go sack Spellbomb, draw a card, Planisphere. I don't know, it seems kind of bad. I think I'm going to get the Shadowspear. I'm going to... Oh, maybe I should have just drawn a card off the Spellbomb first. Although it is kind of a nightmare if I end up drawing the Shadowspear and I can't tutor it. Although I guess I could just get Mox Opal at that point. So that's a good pickup. Now, do I leave up the Spellbomb activation or do I play the Tamiyo? I think I just leave up the Spellbomb activation. Not that I think they have a hammer in their hand. But yeah, VV Dice Factory seems like something you could do. It's on my to-do list. Sorry, Esther keeps... I don't know if she's opened and closed the door like 4 times. Alright, let's draw a card instead of bouncing the monk. What is in their hand? Are they just super duper flooded? I don't know if we can beat anything besides them being super duper flooded. So I could equip here, play Bauble, play Aether Spellbomb, or play Opal, play Aether Spellbomb, and attack for a bunch. Get to leave this back as a chump blocker. I could play around a Bolts by attacking before I play this untapped. Been a while since I mulled the 3-in-1, especially in a deck like this. Not there yet. Yeah, my opponent did ask, what are you doing when I mulled the 3? It seems a little rude to return the question, I guess. I think they're just super flooded. So what time am I streaming today? Usually I try to go until like 1 p.m. CST, but it can kind of depend. I mean, how could they have a hammer in their hand? I mean, if they just drew this return, maybe they didn't just draw this return, but... Okay. Did I hope too much? I don't know how they have 3 spells in their hand here and they didn't like trigger the Steel Cutter last turn. Has anybody been playing like Persist Bahamut or cheating it out any other way? Do they feel like that card is really worth thinking about? Yeah, you can woodland it. It's like okay to woodland. And it also imprints to Ugin's Labyrinth, which is maybe more important. Bling with the 3 months. Thank you. Welcome back. They have 3 cards in their hand. They have another spell. That spell is Surge of Salvation. So I need to Aether Spellbomb something now. Seems like I just get the bigger monk token. Interesting that they're main phasing this. And they conceded. Mold to 3, baby! Let's go! Let's go. Unbelievable. Okay, I do not like Counterspell draw. I think I'll play 1 and 2 Force of Negations. Obviously, their draw was really anemic, but mold to 3. Whew. Well, this hand's very weak to Esper Sentinel, but I think we need to keep... We can turn 2 Thoughtcast because we can go turn 1 Tamiyo, Amber, Spear, attack. That's 3 artifacts to Thoughtcast, flip Tamiyo. Could maybe pitch 1 as well. I'm gonna go pour my tea. I'm sure a bunch of people left and didn't see the mold to 3 win. All right, let's pitch the Urza, I think. Glad we boarded those in. Yeah, that's how we started talking about the bomb at, I think, as the Resurgent Belief stuff. Did they also mulligan? They'd mulligan this game, nice. So we draw Urza Saga. So we want to play the Saga first so that we could draw an Emry and cast an Emry. If we had tapped the Amber, maybe we could have had Counterspell up this turn. We could cast the second Thoughtcast. I think I'm going to do that. So they have a second Steel Cutter. 3 cards in their hand. I think they're going to cast Surge of Salvation to trigger the Steel Cutter. They wouldn't think about any other card this long. Okay, Steel Shaper's Gift. That's a card that makes sense to think about. Okay, so this ticks up to 2. So we're just... They revealed another Steel Cutter, so the plan is to Saga token and Rebuke the Steel Cutter. Possibly could have... No, I don't think we want to lose the Tommy to get Force of Negation. Game is still on. Yeah, I know you left when I mulled to 3. I know you left when I mulled to 3. We wanted that mull to 3, baby. Never give up. Never give up. Reduke taught me. Okay, they have 2 cards left in their hand. They're playing Gifts over Stoneforges and Clouds. That's interesting. So they have another Gift. I mean, Gift is... We've played a little bit with Gift in these shells. So they grab a hammer. 2 cards in their hand. I imagine they don't attack. Well, my imagination, not very powerful. This looks like they're trading a monk token for 1 damage to Tamiyo, but maybe their last card changes that equation. If it's Galvanic Blast, we lost game 1 of this match to Galvanic Blast off the top. That kills the construct and then puts the Tamiyo to 3. It is Galvanic Blast. Not a problem. Yeah, so let's go. Make a construct, get an opal, and hold up second construct / counterspell. So my opponent's hand is Colossus Hammer Mystery card. Kind of surprised they didn't get the 3rd Steel Cutter because they could get a hammer off the Saga if they wanted. See if they have a needle for my Tamiyo. So their last card is just a hammer. They don't have an attack. We'll make another one of these. We make another one of these, and I'm pretty sure I just get a Mox in so I could equip a Shadowspear. No, I think I'll just play the Aether Spellbomb and get a Bauble. I don't need to equip the Shadowspear this turn. In fact, I am making where they need to. They need to jump at least one thing. I don't have lethal if I sack the Spellbomb. Yeah, I imagine me being down a game, roll to 3. The believers or the doubters were feeling pretty dang good. But now we see basic planes on top. They're not going to trigger the Steel Cutter this turn. We have 3 lethal attackers and a bounce spell. Shout out believers. Let's run it back. I think trophy first league with the deck. We got to run it back at least one more time, especially when we're getting closer to Friday's challenge. Boots was lethal. The thing about Boots is, you know, we've played a lot of this archetype, and there's a lot of times people chime in saying Boots would have been lethal. I win those games. I think I've won every single time someone has said Boots would have been lethal. I don't think that and maybe I'm misremembering, or maybe maybe I'm wrong. But as far as I know, every time I've played this deck and someone says Boots would have been lethal, I won the game anyways, which for me is kind of the main reason why I'm not playing the Boots. I think with all the counter magic, you just don't want to play Boots. And if you're more aggressive, then you do want to play Boots.